Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiraye Nastapayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Chapter 8, Text 1, Chapter 8, Canto 4, Chapter 8, titled Dhruva Maharaj Leaves Home for the Forest, Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Maitreya Uvacha Sanakadhya Naradascha Riburhamso Aruniryatihi Riburhamso Aruniryatihi Naite Grahan Brahmasuta Naite Grahan Brahmasuta Hiyavasan Urdhvaretasaha Hiyavasan Urdhvaretasaha. Maitreya Uvacha, Maitreya said, Sanakadhyaha, those headed by Sanaka, Naradaha, Narada, Cha, and Ribhuhu, Ribhu, Hamsaha, Hamsa, Arunihi, Aruni, Yatihi, Yati, Na, not, Ete, all these, Grahan, at home, Brahmasutaha, sons of Brahma, he, certainly, Avasan, did live, Urdhvaretasaha, unadulterated celibates. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Maitreya said, the 4 great Kumara sages headed by Sanaka, as well as Narada, Ribhu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhva Retha or Naistika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. Purport. The system of brahmacharya has been current since the birth of Brahma. A section of the population, but especially male, did not marry at all. Instead of allowing their semen to be driven downwards, they used to lift the semen up to the brain. They are called Urdhva Retasaha, those who lift up. Semen is so important that if by yogic practice one can lift the semen up to the brain, he can perform wonderful work. One's memory is enabled to act very swiftly, and the duration of life is increased. Yogis can thus perform all kinds of austerity with steadiness and be elevated to the highest perfectional stage, even to the spiritual world. Vivid examples of brahmacharis who accept the principle of life are the 4 sages, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana and Sanat Kumara, as well as Narada and others. Another significant phrase here is Neite Grahan Hi Avasan. They did not live at home. Graha means home as well as wife. In fact, home means wife. Home does not mean a room or a house. One who lives with a wife lives at home, otherwise a sannyasi or a brahmachari, even though he may live in a room or in a house, does not live at home. That they did not live at home means they did not accept a wife, and there was no question of their discharging semen. Semen is meant to be discharged when one has a home, a wife, and the intention to beget children. Otherwise, there is no injunction for discharging semen. These principles were followed from the beginning of creation, and such brahmacharis never created progeny. This narration has dealt with the descendants of Brahma from Manu's daughter Prasuti. Prasuti's daughter was Dakshayani or Sati, in relation to whom the story of Daksha Yajna was narrated. Maitreya is now explaining about the progeny of the sons of Brahma. Out of many sons of Brahma, the brahmachari sons headed by Sanaka and Narada did not marry at all, and therefore there is no question of narrating the history of their descendants. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasala Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat the translation. The great sage Maitreya said, the four great Kumara sages, headed by Sanaka, as well as Narada, Ribhu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhva Reta or Naistika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. So, this is a new chapter. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for forest. Basically, the Maitreya is continuing to talk about the different. He just finished speaking the story of Daksha Yajna. Now he's talking about the 4 Kumaras, just telling about the other sons of Brahma. So these sons of Brahma, Narada, Ribu, Hamsa, Aruni, Yati, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, all these personalities, they are described to be Urdhva Retasaha. Those who have lifted their semen energy to their brain. This understanding is very fundamental understanding from the Vedas, that brahmacharya means not losing semen, but it is risen to the brain. Semen is a creative energy that is produced by the body, and that energy is circulated in the blood. Or that's a very subtle energy, creative energy, that see, just like when we say semen, it doesn't necessarily mean gross semen. Just like when we say petroleum, it means so many things. It means tar, it means grease, it means kerosene, it means diesel, it means petrol, it also means aviation spirit, or it means pure alcohol, or it means evaporated petrol. Is it not? Semen is like that. People think semen is only tar. Semen is a creative energy in the body. This science is not known to modern science. Because from semen only creation happens, no? It's a creative energy. So semen has got a lot of uses. Tar has its own use. You can put it in the roads. Grease has its own use. If you want to run a petrol car, if you put kerosene, it will not run. All are petroleum only. If you distill kerosene further, you will get petrol. Of course, out of 1 liter you may get 10 grams, 10 milliliter, because it's already distilled. In school we have studied distillation process, no? These fossil things are all in different states under the earth. Of course, easily when it is in a gaseous form we extract. But actually originally that gas is come from fossils. So it is from gross thing that has come all those things. Since we also learnt in how the petroleum when they distillation process, everything one level of boiling point or is different, or evaporating point is different. At certain point the fossil becomes grease, certain point it becomes, at certain temperature it produces kerosene, like that distillation. And finally there is aviation spirit. This our petrol engines of our car is not enough for airplane. It's what is called, I don't know what that point is called, where it converts into vapor. In school not boiling point, anyway, not calorific value, there is a particular temperature, ignition point, ignition temperature is there, for petrol is different, for diesel is different, for aviation spirit is different. At a low temperature, tuck, it will ignite, aviation spirit. Pure alcohol, it's called white petrol. Then white petrol. This petrol that we see in our vehicle, it's yellowish. You go to kerosene, it's little more yellowish, like that. Finally, tar is blackish. So it becomes purer and purer and purer, and then pure, it's called white spirit, pure white spirit. Now this is called urdhva. There is a creative energy, and that creative energy you can either convert it into tar, or you can make it into aviation spirit. In an airplane, if you put ordinary petrol, all the engine will not run. Similarly, there is an engine here in the brain which has to run if you want to understand spiritual knowledge. That fine intelligence to understand matter, spirit, soul, super soul, all that. And not only that, the whole Vedic knowledge, the Krishna consciousness worldview in its fine intricacies, the Sankhya philosophy, and that is only philosophical part. Then the power of detachment, these are spiritual powers. You are not this body, but you are not able to detach from the body. Why? Knowledge is one, power is not there. Just like knowledge is there, that if I have got capacity to lift that trunk, I can lift it. But I go near it, I want to lift it, you cannot lift it if your muscle is not strong. Similarly, we want spiritual knowledge, we want to understand the Vedas, we want to understand these secrets of existence, what is matter, what is spirit, what is God, understanding one thing, then how to realize these things, how to separate body from the soul, how to remain in Krishna consciousness. Means you have to remain in Krishna consciousness, because now we are in an environment of Maya. So but default, if you leave yourself, you will fall into Maya. Default, we are in that environment. In the spiritual world, by default environment, you will be Krishna conscious. Here by default we live here in Maya. So to hold your Krishna consciousness, or to hold that I am spirit, I am not this body, you need Shakti. These Shaktis all come from brahmacharya. Spiritual things, when you analyze, it consumes this white petrol. So for that there is a process. That is why brahmacharya is a process. We have to follow that process, then the creative energy will go to the brain. Otherwise that engine will not run. In human being, everybody has got one portion of the brain which will only run by white petrol. Okay, it will not run otherwise. So most of the human beings, their airplane engine is not running. So once you come to spiritual life, then according to instructions of spiritual master, one of the most important thing is no illicit sex. There is a great science behind it. Shakti, you won't get Shakti otherwise. And in human form, there is a production of that, extra production of that. The Shakti. So therefore, it can be used. There are so many animals also who are brahmacharis. Prabhupada, some example is given. So the brahmacharis. But there is no production in that body, that energy production is not there. Or in some, they are only for gross sex. Human form of life, athato brahma jijnasa ke liye, you need that fuel. Jijnasa plus for answers. To hold the answers, everything, you need that. Brahmacharya is a very fundamental principle that is very powerful energy for creating spiritual realization, number one. Number two, for any creative activity, even material creative activity, if you conserve your semen, then you can be more creative. Can be more creative means you will have that energy to create. Some people have no life, no hope, no nothing. Karmis also, I am saying. That means there is no rising of that creative energy. Tamoguna. Ye karo, he will do. Do that, he will do. Do that, he will do. This is called Shudra. You need instruction, everything. He cannot create direction. Somebody is given one target, do this. Then he can create directions. How to do it? This way, that way, so many alternate ways. So following the instructions of Guru means following the desires of Guru. Sometimes devotees think, I have to find out what Prabhupada said, I should walk right or left. I should eat this or that. No, he has given us the principles. What is sattvic food, what is prasadam, all those things. Now we have to create. That means we have to use our thinking and then stay within what is being told, because that is the meaning of responsibility. Why a manager is paid more than a worker in this material world? When I used to be a kid, I used to always to wonder. I mean, laborers are working so hard. I do not know why this guy. I could never figure out. I used to ask this question. Morning to evening, these laborers are working in the field and all these things. But the society rewards these fellows who are sitting. And then the guy, supervisor, he doesn't lift a thing. He is paid more and they are all working very hard. Why is it so? Because they are able to manage their brain with higher energy. With a higher energy, they are able to manage their brain. Brain is activated. They are more creative. They can create things. I want this. You say then devotee can, Prabhupada says, I want doubling of books. Then devotee creates. How can we do that? So anyway, like that, there are so many instructions of the spiritual master. Just like if you are a boss and some people are working beyond with you, and if you have certain objectives, I want these things, and if you are able to, get a person who will deliver that, you will be very happy. But if there is a person who comes every step and asks you, next what, next what, next what, then you will find in between one supervisor telling you report to him. Is it not? You don't report to me directly. You report to him. And the supervisor comes to you every moment. Now, how all this. Then he'll say, no, you report to the manager. Manager will report to me. And like this, in this practice or conservation of semen is very important. Of course, conservation, everybody is not producing the same amount of creative energy. It's according to karma also. It's not that every human body produces the same extent of creative energy, according to karma. But what is due according to your karma itself, if you waste, you cannot do anything. Your good karma, you are wasting. There is a lot of creative energy coming, then it is good karma. Now that has to be utilized in Krishna's service. If the energy is produced in the body, if you don't use it, that is also a problem, no? It's also a problem. So therefore, one needs good engagement in devotional service to dovetail all is karma. Doesn't mean gross engagement alone. As far as devotees are concerned, just reading Prabhupada's book will consume all subtle energy, all creative energy. Remember that. The devotees, they say, no, I'm not really not, fully engaged, and that's why no, now you do one thing. You learn how to consume this by reading Prabhupada's books. Controlling the mind to hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra. High consumption. That is why nicely you hear, your brain will be like this. 16 rounds you hear, your brain will be so clear and so active it will be. Because Urdu raised, it has gone up. If you don't raise up, if you don't that energy, then you cannot hear also. You cannot hear also. You may struggle. So therefore, lot of things are involved in good hearing and chanting. If you don't follow the 4 regulative principles, good hearing is very difficult. Good hearing is very difficult. And we know good hearing is the solution to break this ignorance and get liberated. So anyway, that is about the the value of creative energy in us, which we call it as semen in normal terms when it comes downwards as a gross substance, and spiritual energy, spiritual strength from the brain. It activates the brain. Enthusiasm for spiritual life. People are rajasic, they are enthusiastic for they are converting that into Rajoguna. And when we have enthusiasm to serve the Lord, the spirit, the desire to serve the Lord, desire to serve the Guru, desire to get detached from this material world, desire to preach, these are all things which are transcendental consumption of this creative energy. Impersonalists, they consume this for what? They consume this for neti to separate from matter. I am not matter. For that it requires so much Shakti, it requires actually. So that brahmacharya that rises up and clarity comes for them. I am not this body. Realization comes. So without brahmacharya, spiritual life and brahmacharya, no brahmacharya, they don't go together. So it is not some, we don't have to be sentimental about it. We have to do simple energy analysis. Okay. And there are certain things which are the principles of brahmacharya, which when it comes to gross utilization of brahmacharya, the body has to indulge in sex or sexual connection, sexual intelligence, it's a sexual indulgence. Only then that becomes, that's actually, as Prabhupada says, that is meant constitutionally as per the design of the Lord. The human being, he needs to engage in sex for procreation only. Constitutionally, as per the design of the nature, Krishna's design, a human being or anybody or human being, let's say we are talking about human being, has to eat 3 times a day. Sex is not that kind of a demand. It is a demand, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. You should not think mating is like, there is a constitutional push of the, if you don't get now prasadam, you will be hungry. You have to feed your wife. And then we feed prasadam. Correct. Now, when it comes to the force of eating, sleeping, mating, similarly sleeping also, if you don't sleep 1 or 2 days, you have to give sleeping, eating, sleeping. Now mating, one important thing you have to understand, it is not like eating and sleeping. These are all daily requirement. If the force of sex also, that energy is the very fact that the instruction is given, that if you don't want, if you know the technique to do the urdhva, you don't need to mate at all. Whereas you cannot say, okay, you become a spiritualist, there is no need for you to eat at all. That is not told. If you become a spiritualist, you don't have to sleep at all. There is no such injunction. But there is an injunction here, there is a possibility here which is given. If you want spiritual realization, if you want to grow spiritually very fast, then don't lose this. And it is not a demand like that. You can be a Naishtika brahmachari, provided the body, the creative energy that the body is produced has to be utilized for running the engine here. In the brain there is a, even scientists have also found out that, I think it's the frontal lobe. This where the brain substance in these areas, when you do Brahma Jijnasa, this gets activated. Certain portion of the brain gets activated. Some portion kerosene will run, some portion diesel will run, some portion yellow petrol will run, some portion only white petrol will run. Pure alcohol. So it is, so as long as that energy is consumed there, then there is no disturbance in the body. If you don't eat, you will get disturbed. You cannot function. If you don't sleep, you cannot function. If you don't mate, you can function. You can be a normal person. People say, what is this celibacy, brahmacharya? This is all artificial. It is not possible for human beings, they say. Because it's a fact. Nowadays, it has 90% it has come like that. Experiments also will prove. All people who don't marry, they will become abnormal. Why? Because that energy is sitting and it is eating their system out. Kya karne kya hai? No guidance. Whereas we have, what a sadhana we have, Prabhupada has given. All this consumes creative energy because you are creating spiritual life. Getting up in the morning, tapasya, this, that, all these things, strict discipline, all these things consumes peacefully. Therefore, if you do your sadhana, you can be peaceful. If you don't do your sadhana, your body-mind system will be sexually disturbed. Subtly or grossly it will be disturbed. And as I told you, among all these things, the fine thing is reading and hearing. Hearing. Therefore, the most powerful thing to, let's say according to Kala, there is a creative energy coming in you every day. That is a force. Let's not call it a sexual force. It's a creative force. Creative force becomes sexual if you don't use it. So that creative force has to be consumed, then you will be very peaceful. The best way to consume is reading Prabhupada's books, hearing, writing, creating, talking, writing your realizations. It consumes. So, our entire belief about sex should change. Unfortunately, in our colleges, everywhere, in our present generation, it is given status, it is as if it is like eating. You have to eat every day. It's not true. Not at all true. Culturally, we have been brainwashed into this kind of an idea. One can be peaceful, eating prasadam, sleeping limited, and no sex at all. So that the principles, practical principles of brahmacharya are meant to raise this substance up. Association with opposite sex, regulation, no contemplation, no friendship with opposite sex. These are the kind of, in friendship means what? Mind becomes close. That is meaning of friendship. So no friendship with opposite sex. These are some of the things that we have to follow, the brahmacharya principles, all the rules and regulations that are given in brahmacharya. if one follows that, then he doesn't have to struggle every time to fight against opposite sex, because a brahmachari has got a culture in him. Brahmacharya is a culture. Everything is a culture. It's a culture. If you culture properly, then when you see opposite sex, it doesn't trigger lust. If you don't culture, it will trigger lust. If you culture properly, proper perception, what is opposite sex, what is woman, what is sex, all these things, if you don't culture as per the principles of the Shastra, you will have concocted ideas. So you will have concocted ideas, mean concocted beliefs. So many different concocted beliefs we have created about sex. That is one of the reasons why it is difficult to follow the fourth regulative principle, no illicit sex. Because we always follow our belief, isn't it? You have a false belief, you will follow your belief. If you think sex is the highest enjoyment, you say that, then it is a belief. You will not be able to give up. We'll talk more about it tomorrow or later. Questions? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.